thing changed about the shit is I got me some money. The rest of this shit still feeling the same. It probably got worse. Cause now I got cake, everybody gon' want them to pay. As soon as you tell someone no, they gon' call you a hoe cause they swear that you owe them feet. You can't even do for yourself cause they beat. They gon' go on the internet, make a little post saying, what about me? Shit, what about you? You left me out here in the jungle. I came out that bitch like a big with the lions and tigers. Can't fuck with no shit. Can't compete with a nigga who
think we got it. We're looking good, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, everybody? It's Big Boy here at the Big Boy Live Network. We're coming to you live tonight from the Big Boy Live Studios, sponsored to you in part by Pro Health Chiropractic, Knuckle Daddy, and Tampa Productions. Listen, folks, tonight we got a good show. We got a good friend of mine on tonight. He's going to be talking about how we pioneered, and he and his friends and family pioneered MMA in Tampa almost 20 years ago. That 20 years ago, fighting wasn't fun. It was kind of like embarrassing, kind of hidden. You almost had to kind of like not do it. So it was hard to do, but this man pioneered it, trudged through the trenches. They had a promotion last for 12 years, 41 events, and some of the best fighters that you know and I know were in the RFC. So it's going to be a great show today. Tons of exciting things to talk about, cool stories that we're going to have. But the most important thing is the amount of lives that this man changed. All right, it was basically a I guess it would be more like a spider web effect of lives changed by the RFC and the Valdez family, the Berto family, and the Fryer family. I mean, this was something that was just, it was crazy. These events would happen once every few months, and you would see the same people. I can remember going to the events. I went to my first event, I believe, was RFC 15 or 14. And I remember seeing the same exact people at the same tables at RFC 41. So it was, man, I love it. I think it's one of the greatest things ever, and I hope this thing is working. So it's Big Boy Live. We're doing our technical audio. You know, I'm always got technical audio difficulties, but we're making it work tonight. I do want to introduce our guest for tonight. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He's been in doing it a long time. He's our boy. He's our matchmaker. He's our promoter. He's our friend, our man, Joe Valdez. What's up, Joe?
Big Boy in the house. I'm proud of you, man. What a nice studio.
Yeah, you know, I think you're particularly responsible for this. I mean, to be honest, the first time I ever was on TV was because Joe was like, Big Boy, get in there and do it. So I went in there and did it. So
you were a natural, brother. It was last second, and we had to throw somebody in there, and you were a natural. They loved you.
Yeah, right out the gate, we'll start it with that story. We were at the Doubletree. We had Joe Johnson on the card. We had Billy Quintilla on the card. We had Gian Herrera on the card. It was just a big card. And the person that we had doing the reporting, the person that we had doing the reporting, she came in. And, you know, she'd been at Scores. That's back when Scores was at the Doubletree. And so came in and had a couple drinks. We've been waiting for fighters. And we didn't think it was a good idea to get her on camera, which she was our girl. We love her to death. They're not going to be dropping no names because we want to keep everybody innocent. But yeah, that was great. That was fun. And I got to tell you, Joe, sorry, I'm fixing batteries. You guys can see it. Somebody looks at Joe, and I'm not going to say his name either, and goes, who's got the biggest mouth around? And Joe says, who? And he goes, Big Boy. And they ran in there. I was setting the cage up. Joe put his sport jacket on me. They handed me the microphone. Nobody knew what I was going to do, and I went, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Big Boy here at the Doubletree, and we're at RFCs. And that was it. A legend was born.
That was it.
You know, Joe, Tampa back 20 years ago in the fight world was small. We didn't have very many gyms here. You know, it wasn't like we had a gym on every block like we do now. You basically had Gracie Tampa to pick from, USA Martial Arts, Bill Banks maybe. Tell us a little bit about how it was back then.
Yeah, Rob Kahn's Gracie Tampa North was the only one around. You had Shane Dunn in San Pete, Catch Wrestling there in San Pete. You had Berto in Winter Haven. You had Ross Kellen in Lakeland. You had couple in Orlando, the guys down American Top Team down south. We even used to fly in a lot of fighters at the beginning there. Wasn't that many. It was pretty new starting out.
Yeah, and I also, they were using, like, Berto, you guys were sacrificing basically your kids. I mean, you had Edson in there, we had Nana in there, we had Jay Lee in there, we had Patrick.
Well, that's pretty rough, sacrificing. But I get I get what you're going at, what you're talking about. But they were tough. Yeah. They were tough, and they believed in it. And the old man, if you know the old man, and you knew him.
Yes, I did. He
wasn't one like a lot of these guys were. He didn't want to pad a record. He didn't believe in that, taking easy fights. He thought you fight, you take the fair fight, you beat somebody on your level, or don't be a fighter.
Yeah.
And that's how he felt.
For those who don't know, we're talking about Yuscil Berto. That's Andre's dad, Edson's dad, Nana's dad. He was a huge presence in the RFC. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people just think it was Joe, but it wasn't.
He wanted it that way. He wanted to stay in the background. He keep it quiet. That's how he liked it.
Yeah, he did. But he was fierce. Even in business, me and Joe, we actually a few years after we met in the RFC, we actually did some gym business together. You and I did, and Berto worked with us, and he taught me. I mean, everything. Not only did he teach me the gym business, but he taught me how to box. Just in his cardio classes. Those cardio classes were for professionals. It was amazing. But the talent that came from that man and the heart was just amazing.
Bigboy, not one of his fighters ever missed weight. They never pulled out. They never missed weight. None of them. True. Not only his kids. None of his fighters ever missed weight.
Yeah.
He prided himself on that. You show up on weight and you fight.
Yep. No, Berto was a beast. Quick story with him when we were running the gym. Frank Calta, God bless his soul, was a big gym membership, big gym guy here in Tampa, and we decided to open a gym right there on Kennedy. And Berto and Anthony and Joe, and one day Frank Calta came in the gym
while my sister Desiree was running the gym.
That's right. Yes. While Des was running the office, Frank Calta came in. Well, I was in the back, and Des come running back all worked up, and she says, Chris, I think another gym owner just came in and kind of gave me a hard time, and I looked out as he's walking away, and it was Frank Calta. Well, Berto found out it was Frank Calta and literally comes in the gym the next day with the machete and said, "Big boy, if this man walks in the gym again, I want you to chase him with the machete."
Yeah, he told Des that too. Hit him with a machete across the knees there. She goes, "Man, he's crazy." Yeah.
Listen, the Haitians are nuts, man. I got to tell you, man. Those were my toughest friends. But that family, that's a fight family. It's just a huge
really
family.
Is. There's a lot of people say they're fighters and stuff. Really is, but that's a fight family.
Yeah, no, they're still doing it. They're still doing it, and they got that body transformation challenge. Remember the people lined up down the street just to do the body transformation challenge, and I could never get it, but there's so much results, and it changes people's lives, and that's the whole thing.
And Edson's still keeping that going there and doing very good with the gym.
Yeah, I see him. I actually watch it. I watch their progress all the time because sometimes I get a little motivation to work out myself with them. So, but yeah, man, that's a good man right there. That was a good part. But that was the one of the big things of the RFC, and the RFC went for a while. I mean, you got
Big boy. Let me tell you a quick story about Berto, so you know his character. I love the guy, man. There's very few people that you meet in your lifetime that are so real that they're always the same when you're there with them one-on-one behind closed doors and everything. They're the same as they are in front of everybody out there. So Edson at the time was big, fighting on Pro Elite, Showtime, all that. That was competition for the UFC. I'll back it up a little before that. Carl Greco, Agnabani, and Edson at that time when we started was hard to get fights for. They really were. Even with teams like American Top Team down south, they were hard to get an opponent for. So, but a few years later, Edson had a bad little skid and lost 3 fights in a row, and a couple by knockout. Then all of a sudden, these guys wanted to fight him. One guy's 10-0, world-class BJJ guy, 10-0 as a pro. Then they wanted to fight him. I don't say nothing to Berto. I'm trying to get Edson an opponent, thinking he's come off three losses in a row. Let me try to get him the right guy. Ralph Garcia, Rob Kahn, everybody's calling me. Hey, Joe, we hear this guy wants to fight Edson. Don't do it. It's a bad idea for him now. Kid's going through. Berto gets wind of that. Calls me up. My friend, what are you doing? I go, what are you talking about, Berto? He goes, my friend, what are you doing? I hear this guy, I'm not going to say no names, but I hear this guy wants my son. Joe, make the fight. I go, Berto, think about what you're saying. Edson's had a bad skit. He goes, my friend, I love you, but you don't understand what I am then if you're trying to do this. Make the fight. We are fighters. If I have to worry about my son fighting somebody in Florida, Edson should go play soccer. We're not going to do it. We're going to fight. Got the fight. Edson won for the RFC Florida State lightweight title. Won the fight. And everybody was saying that was a bad fight.
You know,
my point, look at the character.
Yeah.
He took that fight for his
stepped
son.
Up. You know, Edson's tough. Edson's so much training involved there. The best fight I've ever seen. I fought my pro debut. That was him and Jason Ball's second fight. And both of them went to the hospital.
Well, one of those, I can't remember if it was first or second fight. They both went to the hospital.
Both
of them ended up at the hospital. It was, what, a 5-round decision? Yeah. That's one of the hardest fights you ever seen. Tommy traveled the world and seen every UFC fight and told me afterward, Joe, in person, that's one of the hardest fights I ever seen. Jason Ball was it Edson? Edson was pissing blood.
Yeah.
And he was a little slurred. Jason Ball had a concussion. He was black and blue everywhere. He was vomiting. It was crazy. All the young fighters were coming up to me, the guys that wanted to be pro fighters and making pro debuts. Sir, Mr. Valdez, you got to go look at Edson. Go look at the other guy in the back. They don't look good. Their eyes, everybody's eyes was real big.
Yeah. I
go to a back room. I'm checking on Edson. He tells me, Joe, I'm sorry for losing. I go, Sonny, what are you? You just put on one of the best fights people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The heart you have.
I got to be honest, both of those fights were fights that I'll never forget. And even that night was it's just all the fights in RFC have all been history. And Edson is just the beginning. We had guys like Danny Babcock.
Woo! You remember the middleweight wars with Danny Babcock, Carl Greco, Osmani Cabezas, and the other guy, Garrett Joseph from California. But those three guys, Carl, Osmani, and Danny Babcock, what old school warriors.
Yeah.
Like Lorenzo Hunt told me when he met them years back, he came up to me and goes, Joe, I know what you're talking about. Those are old school badasses. Even the way they shake your hand and approach you, you could tell they're badasses.
Yep.
Those three guys, it's not like a lot of these young guys now. They wanted to fight each other. They were begging me to fight each other. They weren't staying away like a lot of these guys want to do now. They stay away from somebody who they might lose to. These guys were actually begging me and getting mad at me not to put them against each other.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Those were the days when these guys just they looked to fight. That's all they wanted to do was fight. Now, back then, you were doing shows once every 3 months, once every 4 months, and you were doing them in the ring at first, like a regular boxing ring. You transitioned over back to the cage. But what did you like the cage over the boxing ring MMA?
I did. Something about the cage at that time, especially you walk in, you see a cage like that, brought something different to it. You could see the fights better in the ring, but the cage brought better grappling, more wrestling to it, just different. Everybody at first back then in, 05, 06, something like that was, wow, they never seen nothing like that in a cage.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go... you say you don't remember this, but I remember this. But I'm going to go and the first time that I ever met you. All right. So the first time that I ever met you, it was at the Sundome. And the week before that event, Monsta was fighting. No, it was Ralph Garcia fought on that card, but I was at Gracie Tampa at the time. Matt Arroyo fought Matt Brown on that card. We'll talk about that.
That's another big story.
Yeah. He fought Matt Brown. But I met you because that week I was training at Grace Tampa. Rob Kahn comes up to me and goes, hey, I got some tickets for the RFC. If anybody wants to go and put flyers of the Gracie Tampa Flyers in everybody's car window, I'll give you a ticket to the RFC. And I went, okay, I'll do it. and Rob gave me a big pack of flyers. And so the night of the event, I'm out in the parking lot at the Sundome, and I'm putting flyers in the cars behind the Sundome. Well, all of a sudden the door kicks open, and it's you. And you go out to your truck and get the box of gloves, and you see me putting the flyers out, and you look at me and go, "Hey, buddy, do me a favor. Don't put a flyer in my window." And I said, "Okay." And it kind of stuck with me, and I ended up throwing what I had left of flyers in my hand in the back of your truck. And so, no big deal. We went on to the fights that night, and it was all good. Well, the next Monday, Rob, we're in training, and Rob goes, "Bigboy." And I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "What the hell is wrong with you? You wasted all my flyers." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You threw all my flyers in one truck." And I'm like, "No, Rob, I only threw a couple of them in there. No big deal, And he says, No, you did. And you're dumb too, because you know what? It was the owner of the promotion, man. It was the owner of the promotion." And so it was like, well, I guess that's okay. And that was the first night I ever met you. But that night at the Sundome, we had some great fights. We had Matt Brown, the guy from the UFC, and I remember that story very well. I was a part of that. I was in the weigh-ins and stuff, and at the last minute, Arroyo didn't have an opponent. And dude, Matt Brown had brought some girl down, and he came to you and broke it out.
Man, your memory's better than mine on this stuff, but that's true. That's how it happened at the weigh-in. We dropped Matt Arroyo's opponent. And we're standing there, Rob Conn and Matt say, "Anybody, Joe, find us anybody. Let's just fight. Get somebody. Start checking around." And I had flew in a girl from, I think it was Ohio.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in her corner, and scruffy looking, and he comes up to me, and he says, "Hey, sir, I hear you guys are looking for somebody for a welterweight for that guy." He goes, "If you want, I'll take that fight." I go, "You a pro fighter?" He goes, Yeah, I'm a pro fighter. I'll take that fight." I goes, "You know who this is over here, Matt Arroyo's?" He goes, "Listen, stop. No disrespect. I don't give a fuck who that is right there. Tell me you're going to pay me. I'll take this, just a couple $100. I don't care. Give me a fight, but you got to give me a mouthpiece and a cup." And he goes, "But sir, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not in shape, but I'm going to come to throw down." Dude, that turned out to be Matt Brown later. He went up, a great UFC welterweight,
yeah,
Matt Brown. Joe Rogan had him on his podcast, and Matt Brown talked about that. Then the UFC made the rematch later in the Ultimate Fighter. They both were in the Ultimate Fighter. After they got out of the house, the UFC made a rematch on that.
Yeah, I remember it. I was in that camp. I was actually a part of a Royals team at that time, and yeah, that was for us. That was he put it on Royal, like he put it on his ass.
Dude, after that night, I knew that guy was different. Really, the way he came up to me and said, "Sir, I don't give a shit who that guy is, but I'm out of shape, but I'm going to throw down. As long as I can keep fighting, I'm going to fight." When they stopped the fight, he yelled to his corner, "Bring in a bucket," and he started puking in the middle of the cage with the bucket. Remember?
Yeah, I do. I know. I do remember that. It was, and that was a good night. I also remember our boy Ralph Garcia fighting that night.
Yeah, was that his pro debut?
No, I think that was his third fight. I think that was his third fight where he got pulled the armbar. It was just a great night, but that was the vibe. We had Jordan J. Adams there. We had Stefan Bonner commentating.
Was Bonner there that night?
Yep,
remember when Chuck Liddell was at one of the events at the Sundome? They went crazy for. Hey, what a peach of a guy, man! What a peach.
We had a lot of guys. We had Shaq at your events. We had so many people.
Hulk Hogan, Marcus Allen. Man, there's so many.
Marcus Jones.
He even
Josh Freeman. We had the quarterback, Josh Freeman there. Doug Martin.
Torres.
Doug Martin. We had Doug. Yep. That's where I got him to sign that jersey. God rest his soul. But we did, dude. The RFC was on it, and again, I'm telling you, and I'm emphasizing this to everyone. The amount of lives, even that night we were just talking about, the night with Brown and Arroyo, that changed everyone's lives. I mean, Brown obviously in the UFC, Arroyo, Ultimate Fighter after that, Garcia owning one of the biggest gyms in Tampa. RFC was a dream factory. It was where everyone came, they called you, and it made it happen. And I can remember my first pro fight, you came in to see me train before I fought. You wanted to make sure that he was ready. And we weren't even close yet. We were still just associates. But you cared. You came into the gyms, you met with the fighters, you brought them tickets, you came in and gave us motivation. There is such thing as A side and B side in this sport. I don't think I ever really saw that in your promotion.
And that's a good point there, Big Boy, because I came from a boxing boxing background, and I couldn't stand that about boxing. A and B, I could walk into an event here in Tampa, and I would walk in and tell you every corner, every guy that was going to win that night. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
If you really like the fight game, that's bullshit. That's not what it's about, man.
Yeah.
Even us, we're Berto's kids. They were like family to me, and look how I matched them.
You did.
Everybody, I probably matched them harder than anybody else.
It's true, because Berto wasn't going to have it any other way, though.
No, and that's what we were about. If we're sitting in a room here, I got a fighter, you got a fighter, we're fighters, and we're talking about who's better. That's what it's about, bro. And that's how Yosmani was, and Babcock and Carl was. That's what it was.
Yeah, those were some legends there. The RFC, so many fighters' careers birthed from there. Even I remember one of my first time, you had made me matchmaker, and you'd made me a matchmaker or something like that. I was helping you matchmake in the RFC, and Billy Quintilla, how do I say his last name? It's Quintilla, right?
Yeah.
Something like, well, Billy Q, Quarantilla. Yeah, Billy Q's opponent dropped out just like a Royals at the last minute. Well, we had some guys from down south, and I think you're like, dude, Big Boy, get it. Well, I brought you J.P. Reese. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he was tough, and he was
tough.
We didn't want to do it, but we had to because Billy had sold some tickets. We didn't want Billy to lose, but we had to do it. That's the night that I realized that you didn't believe in A-side, B-side. Because when I brought you J.P. Reese, you were like, let's do it. And that fight happened, and J.P. beat Billy. But Billy was our hometown guy, and that was for a promotion that's not smart. But that was just the solidness.
Is it not smart, or is it the right thing to do? Look at UFC.
Yeah.
You can't hide in the UFC. The best has to fight the best. I think that's what MMA is about. So what if you get losses?
Yeah.
You know, the greatest fighters in the world have losses. That's how boxing was in the old days.
Right.
The Four Kings, Duran, Leonard, all them guys fought each other. That's how it was. Nobody ran from each other.
That's it. Like, what was it? Hagler and
Hagler, Hearns,
and that was
Leonard, and Duran.
Oh,
they
man.
call them the Four Kings,
the
man.
Kings, yeah.
Yeah.
Some big tough guys. So the RFC lasted a while. Obviously, it was, I watched you, Joe. I watched you, Rochelle, your son Tino from a little kid. Tino was a child.
We couldn't have done it without Rochelle and Tino.
No,
couldn't have done it. They actually, and you know this, the hardest guys like us are not good at the paperwork, not good with the tickets, not good with the money, all that stuff. They did it all with the customers, with the fighters. They had the hard stuff with the state commission doing all the paperwork. They had that was the hard stuff.
It was
putting the fights together. You like that, and you like the guys and all. That's the easy part.
Yeah. No, Rochelle and Tino work. I mean, by 2012, I was already adopted into the family. I was basically Tino's big brother. And Rochelle was basically kind of like my mom. And boy, me and Rochelle
get mad at you all the time.
We would get fucking mad at me, and I'd scream at her. She'd scream at me. But she was the working force behind it. And I remember this. I remember this story too. When we got the cage. Remember when we bought the cage and we went to Ocala to get the cage, and we finally
Tommy and Chris,
right. We bought it because we had been renting it. So you finally bought it. We went and got the cage, and we pulled a semi to go get the cage, and the semi got stuck. Well, we didn't know what to do, and so we're freaking out. Like, the semi driver standing there dumb, and Rochelle calls you like, when are you going to be home? And you're like, I don't know now. The semi's stuck. She's like, well, call a tow truck and have them pull it to the side. So we're all standing around the tow truck trying to figure out, and Rochelle comes and figures it all out. But it was, and I'm going to bring this up. There's our dog Tino, man, Santino. He was a child doing this stuff.
He was a kid there.
And this is probably after the RFC, but now the guy he's in the boxing commission. Tino's an inspector. I see him one day possibly being a commissioner. I really do. Like, it would be an honor to have him in there. But again, it's a life-changing thing, and that RFC took a toll. It worked you. I saw it work you. I was witness of it. I fought on the cards. You know what I mean? I was a part of putting the cage together, and I fought the same night. And I watched the work that you put into it, that we put into it, and that the fighters put into it, and the fans loved it. You could go to an RFC, and the people weren't there to see the fighters. The people were there to see you, you know.
And the fights.
And the fights.
Because I go back to what we were talking about earlier. They came back all the time because they got their money's worth. Because the fights were competitive. If you do the A and B team and pick a fighter, they're not competitive.
Yeah.
Fights were competitive. They never knew who was going to win. Even fighters used to tell me that. Joe, I love the RFC because you don't baby nobody and you're giving fair fights. So we don't know who's going to win. The fighters would tell me that.
Yep. No, we went a la carte pavilion for years, and that was the home of it. Went to Doubletree a couple times, finished it up at the a la carte, and now, you know, I understand it. It's so hard, but I think maybe the biggest challenge is just because you were steadily raising the bar. Every event you had to get better fights, better matchups, and you did that. You were making it happen all the way up to RFC 41. The last fights we had with Lorenzo Hunt, Sean Hollis, me. I mean, we had a bunch of guys on that card. And now all the guys that were on that card that night, Dave Mundell, we all went to bare knuckle. Now we got
two
guys
are doing good in bare knuckle.
Yep. Dave Mundell. Yep. We had Dave Mundell and Lorenzo Hunt on the. Me and you are doing podcasts together, doing it like that. Matter of fact, I thought I had a picture.
They're
of it.
champions, right? In bare knuckle.
Yeah, they're world champion.
Yeah, look,
multiple.
well, Billy Q and Matt Frivola still fighting in the UFC.
Still in the UFC. So these guys are putting it into it, and it is. The RFC was a birth. It was a birth. Now, we had the RFC go for 12 years, and about 10 years into the RFC, they go ahead and light up amateur in Florida. I felt like it changed a little bit of our picture, but how did you feel about that?
It did, and it didn't change it. And I don't want to insult nobody, it didn't change it for the better, like I thought it was going to be at first. I think it was so flooded with everybody wanted to get involved in amateur events and do their own thing that they were babying and catering to these fighters. They were getting title shots right away. So when these guys were turning pro, at that time Edson started helping me matchmake. So these guys are turning pro debut, and they're asking Edson to send them a list of 4 or 5 fighters. Edson goes, "What do you mean a list? Send us 4 or 5 opponents and we'll pick who we're going to fight." Edson goes, "What?" He calls me up and says, "Joe," you know, he never raises his voice. "Joe, I don't believe this. I had 40 pro fights. Did I ever ask you to send me anybody but one name?" He goes, "I can't believe these kids nowadays." So we did see a change. In the old school, what I like and where I came back from when we started, Look at Jack Murphy.
Yeah, Jack's been calling me the past
Junkyard Dog. I just talked to him the other day
Good,
out of state. He called me. Junkyard Dog. Here's a guy. He didn't have an opponent. We found him somebody after the weigh-ins. We go looking for him. He's at Ybor drinking all night long. He shows up the next morning. We get the commission to, okay, let's go weigh him in. And he was even underweight. He had to throw coins in his pocket to make the weight and take the fight.
Jack Murphy, man.
And you got these guys nowadays, they break a fingernail and they don't want to fight somebody.
Yeah, this is our dog, Jack Murphy.
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, I remember Jack would get on his bicycle and ride down Maybury.
Yes.
And on his way to the gym, and would get to the gym with a pocket full of cash. And I'd be like, "Where'd you get that?" And it was, I got sponsors. So he would ride around.
Another guy never turned nobody down. Yeah. Send him the name, he will laugh. He will laugh.
There
Joe,
he is.
Just send a contract.
There it is, right there, Jack Murphy.
Never turned no one down.
Yeah, Jackie fought Monster. I remember
Monster
that.
Lobster.
Yeah, I remember.
Everybody thought Jack wasn't going to fight him. He took that fight in a second, started laughing.
Yeah, because
Joe, make the fight. You know I'm not going to tell you no. Make the fight.
Yeah, Jack had been training with us at the time, and Rob kicked him out of the gym because he went to the fighter warehouse and threw a fit about some shorts, and so then next thing you know, him and Monster are fighting, and that was a big.
Yeah,
I was selling T-shirts at the RFC that night, the Monster Lobster T-shirts, and Josh Freeman was there, and it was your buddy who had passed away, Bobby G.
Yeah,
and he had Josh Freeman there. God bless his soul. But so many people. How about Joe Gomez? He's still around?
Yeah, I haven't seen Joe in years, but he's still around.
That was our dog, man. He used to run the back for us and everything. But
and Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
Big Joe's the wrestler.
Joe, the wrestler.
Jesus, Jesus, my brother, man.
Yeah.
I spent all kinds of time with him.
He was great, man. All those guys. Yeah. It was being a part of that. I remember going to the West Tampa Sandwich Shop on Friday mornings and eating
Yeah.
sandwiches and hanging out with everybody and stuff
Everybody
like that.
talking shit.
And your dad
Yeah.
riding around all over town on a scooter with
before fight night that Friday morning was fun there.
and Joe's dad would come around
Yeah.
and he'd come rolling up on his scooter and he'd have this earring in
Yeah.
his ear and he'd come up and he always had a t-shirt for me. And I swear to God, I have the t-shirts in the next room. To this day, I still have those t-shirts. And
always asking me, when's Big Boy gonna fight? Get him a fight. When's
Get
Big
him a
Boy's
fight.
gonna
That's
fight?
it.
Yeah.
Junior was the best, and he was I got to be honest, your dad was a fucking warrior, man. All the cancers, all the shit,
Yeah.
man, and he was amazing. So that was,
Yeah.
I loved your family. I love your family like they're my own. Rochelle kept me in check, and I love her, and I love you, and I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you. And there's so many other people that can say that too, that maybe might not acknowledge it, but they should probably, because there's not many people like you anymore, Joe. You know, you're genuine. You're a part of Tampa history. One day there'll be a history book about you, and that's really why I wanted Joe on the podcast tonight. I wanted Joe on the podcast because I want people like all these fighters. You got an MMA gym on every corner here in South Tampa. I mean, we got one across the street. We got mine down the road. We got one across the street from your house, and all these fighters nowadays, it seems like they're not studying the old past. Like, they don't know who David Baggett is. They don't know who Danny Babcock is. They don't know who Yosmani Cabreras is.
Oh, different generations, times change.
Yeah, but everybody knows who Hoist Gracie is and Mike Tyson is. But these are guys that really set the tone. Andrew Parker's. You know what I mean? These are the guys that taught me my first punch. Danny Babcock cornered me just because Danny cornered me in a fight, it gave me confidence. You know what I mean? These were the tough people. Mike Bukovic.
Tough, man. And they were, I don't know, man. They had character. They were tough. Something different about all them guys back then, man.
Yeah, they were chewing on glass or something. Who knows? But
look at Ocala, what we used to say about those guys from Ocala. Even the guys that weren't that skilled didn't know that much. They all hit hard as hell. They all had a hard right hand.
Yeah.
And they came to fight. They took anybody and they showed up.
We had Hammer Tree. We had TJ Cook's actually coming. He's coming to stay the weekend this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to come train and go to Ralph's event.
He should be in
Bare Knuckle. TJ.
With his boxing, he had some of the best boxing in
TJ,
MMA.
you hear him? What have we been trying to do? Let's get you in there. That's why he's coming down. So TJ's coming down this weekend. Okay. And the thing is Nate Shook, the bare knuckle matchmaker, he used to be the matchmaker for Bellator, so he knows TJ or Strikeforce, so he knows TJ. So they want him. And I got to be honest. TJ Cook has hit me harder than anybody.
Yeah, he can hit.
Hit me harder than anybody.
He knows how to hit. He can hit.
He's a
He's a serious guy too.
But I think with fighting the way it is and the way it's growing here in Tampa, it's amazing. But you're getting all these promotions on here, and all these guys are coming to Tampa wanting to. When after RFC 41 and we were watching, like I was watching the BKFC come to Tampa, I felt like they were just stealing from us. You know what I mean? Like I felt like, God, they came and hit it when we had it going good. Because at 41, it was it. You got tired. It was just so
life.
Joe, at one point you had so much on your plate. You were running a gym. You were running a trucking company with your best friend. You guys were trying to run the promotion. You had 3 big things going on at once, on top of being a husband and a father, on top of being a promoter and a matchmaker, on top of, you know what I mean? And so I watched it myself, man. I envy you. You made me realize I ain't shit. Like, I need to get my ass up and go work. And that's why we're here now. That's why you're in this studio.
That's why I got this gray hair around here right now.
But so after all these years, with all these fighters, I'm going to tell you who I still think your favorite fighter is, because today I was going back and, I was doing some research and I'm looking on YouTube and I'm trying to see how, back when we used to do the Real Talks, the RFC Real Talks, but we used to have Alon on a lot.
Yeah.
And he was just a kid.
He was a baby when he started.
Baby. I'm going to find it too, but we had Alon on there. And he was just a child.
I had been hearing about Alon in the BJJ world since he was, 13, 15 years old?
Yep. There it is right here. So it was, is it going to do it? Yeah. So we're watching this right here. This was me and you. And we had Alon on here. Let's see if I can fast forward to Alon. I just want everyone to see how young he was.
I didn't know you still had those.
Oh, man. I got all this stuff, man. I never let go. Here we go. I never let go of any of it. Look how young this kid is right here.
Damn,
so look at that. That's Alon. That's me and you on Kennedy at Tigers World with Alon. This is so long ago. But
I forgot about all that.
But we're doing this, and Alon goes to the UFC. He does pretty good. I mean, he does well. He does. It's competition.
Yeah, he won the Contender. Dana White stood up clapping for him. He won by what? Flying knee.
Flying knee.
And he got a contract that night.
And the flying
one of the best knockouts on the Contender.
He learned it from me. He learned that first person ever to land that flying knee in the RFC besides Andrew Parker.
You used to do that shit all the time.
I used to do that shit all the time.
Remember?
And remember, I knocked Chris Anderson out with that flying knee too.
Well, stay quiet about that. You knocked a few guys out in the gym. I think that's why I forget a lot of shit. You hit me too hard.
Come on, Jabbing Joe. That's what we used to call him, Jabbing Joe. No, you did. You know what? To this day, I still teach my students how to slip the jab through the elbow. Like you taught me. Remember how you taught me to go to that elbow and go underneath that elbow and come up on it? And to this day, that's how I've functionally trained my students. Hey, this is how you do it. Go to underneath the elbow and do it.
And for the record, Bertle said he never liked fighters teaching fitness classes. So when you started teaching the fitness class, he said especially heavyweights and fighters in general, heavyweights, when he seen you teaching the fitness class, he couldn't believe it. He gave you a heads up.
Yeah, everyone.
He said he never seen a big heavyweight teach a fitness class as good as you.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I got my nickname, was because I moved fast, and Monston them used to go, hey, look at that, he fucking moves fast for a big boy, and I'd get so mad. But it was, you know what? It was because he made me do the class first. Remember, he's like, okay, big boy, I'll let you train, but you have to do the class. And then he let me do the last 15 minutes of the class. So after doing a year's worth of classes and he let me train, my agility had gotten better. I could jump rope. I could do things I never could do before. And that's what his workouts did. I mean, they still do to this day. I mean,
they
I
work,
watch them.
without a doubt. They work.
But now we were talking about Alon. Now he's got a gym across the street, got his own students.
Has a baby now.
Got a baby. The kid is just, to this day, I still think his nickname should be Cruise Control.
Tino and Rochelle loved him.
Yeah.
He was one of their favorites. They loved him.
Yeah, now he's got a killer gym right across the street. I'm trying to find it right now so people can check it out. There's so many gyms now.
Tribe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Tribe. There's so many gyms now. Here it is right here. There's so many gyms.
Look, and Ralph Garcia's still putting on amateur events.
Yep. This weekend. So we got the WCFL coming up this weekend. We're going to be setting the cage. I got to set the cage up at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'm still setting cages up.
You're still doing everything.
I love
everything.
What about this one? Remember the day? How about this one? I got one for you. If you remember. We had just bought the cage, and we had to put it in the 53-foot trailer, but then we had to put it in Jason's garage at the shop, and we bought a trailer. You and I, we bought a trailer. Well, you backed the trailer up to the thing and said, I'll be right back. I got to go do some paperwork in the office, and when I come back, we'll load the cage. And I said, okay. Well, I sat out there, and when you came back, the cage was already loaded.
That's true. I forgot about that.
I loaded the whole cage by myself.
That's when I knew you were crazy, crazy.
I was trying to impress you, man. I wanted the job. You know what I mean? So, and we hauled that cage all over the state of Florida. I hauled that cage to Roger Crawl. I hauled that cage to Tommy and them.
Miami, yeah.
Roger Crawl called us at the last minute one night, and this is when all heck broke loose with me and Tiger's World and the RFC part. This is where it all went nuts. Is one night, so I was teaching classes for Fidel. That's what we're going to refer to, Fidel. And my dog, man, it was my boy. We had another love-hate relationship, but he fucking took care of me like nobody's, like he was my own father. Well, you call me and go, big boy, we got to send the cage down to Roger Crawl tomorrow. He's got an event tomorrow, and they lost their cage. And I go, well, Joe, we got to find a truck. Well, we'll rent a U-Haul. Well, we still had the big trailer, so we hooked the U-Haul to the trailer. But the hitch was too small. But the trailer was so heavy that we just went with it. So the whole way to Miami and back, the hitch was unhooked on the U-Haul for the cage, but we made sure it got there, had it chained down, and we made it work.
I never slept. I figured I was going to get sued that weekend.
Nah, we made it happen. But there's so many cool things that happen. What I want to get to now is we were talking a little bit about Mundell and Lorenzo. And how we had got Mundell and Lorenzo was we had watched them through the amateurs. And so that's why I kind of liked the amateurs because we knew what we were getting.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but we worked. That's what, and you gave those guys their pro contracts. Like I remember you coming to the venues where I was doing amateurs because I was going out and scouting, and I'd have you come and look at the guys I was scouting, and then we'd make a decision whether or not they were going to fight or not.
That night, I think Ralph would announce they got a pro contract or something, right?
Or wherever we were, we would do that, and that's how we picked up Lorenzo. We got Dave Mundell, we had Brad Taylor, we had a lot of guys.
Look at them fights with Brad Taylor and Lorenzo. The shit they would talk to each other, but then they weren't disrespectful. They'd never try to fight each other in person, but they would show up and throw down.
They would fight.
Yeah.
Brad just fight. Seen Brad fight?
I've seen that. At what, heavyweight?
Yeah, but so here's the thing. The last bare knuckle fight I had, Brad came on my post and was like, "Let's do it. If you got another one in you, let's do it, big boy." And I owe a fight to the BKFC, and I told Nate to get a hold of Brad. He never did. Never got a hold of Brad. Now Brad's fighting again. I kind of want that.
Really, you and Brad?
I thought he was my friend. So because I thought he was my friend, I thought, hey, it's gonna. I never thought my friend would call me out. So that's where I was with it. So now it's like, I kind of want.
Well, if you're gonna make a little money with it, it is a friend helping you out, make a little money.
Yeah, but I see that was a good knockout he got against that kid with Mitchell.
Yeah, Brad knows how to fight, man.
Yeah, that's another one too. Is Mitchell Chamali. Mitchell was we have Mitchell.
He's still doing amateur. Does he do pro events?
Yeah,
too?
no, Mitchell and Richard Cox. Remember Richard Cox? Yeah, they're doing pro and amateur. They got
Florida or
they do it everywhere. Orlando, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. They came to St. Pete recently. Alex Tierney fought on the card.
Too.
They do Georgia, so they got it going on. And we had him in there. We were matching him against Gian. We matched him for Alfred when he fought. We were working.
Yeah,
with Mitchell.
him and Gian was a hell of a fight, man. Fight. I mean, most people thought Mitchell Chamali. Nobody knew who Gian was back then. Was going to beat him.
No, Gian got him on that one. But man, Joe, I thank you so much for everything you've done for me and all these other fighters and everyone that's been a part of the RFC. I really thank your wife and your kid for allowing me to be a part of y'all's journey in that decade that we were friends. You know what I mean? And every time I see Rochelle, I love it. Every time I see Tino, my heart melts. And every time I see you, it's just like you were the guy that gave me the motivation to keep doing it. You gave me a chance when everybody else wouldn't give me a chance. I remember this. We were all training at Ralph's. We were all doing fitness. Ralph had a fitness class out on Waters, and you and Anthony would show up. And I had already fought for you, and I'd already known you. But I had left Gracie Tampa. I'd left Tommy and Chris and come down to Tampa. And you and Anthony we were doing fitness. Well, there was a rumor that you guys were going to open a Tiger's World. And I remember Chris Hickman told you, boy, if you guys are going to open a gym, you got to get Big Boy.
Yeah.
And so I was with Ralph at the time, and they said, well, you can go with Anthony and Joe and sell gym memberships if you want to. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I got to say, that was the best fucking decision I ever made in my life.
We had a lot of good times,
that was
man.
So much fun, man. And we had a blast in that gym. I still see the people. I still see Miss Susie. I still see Mark Maeda. I still see all those guys all throughout South Tampa. And every time I see them, they're like, what's up, Big Boy? Are you still doing anything? Yeah. And I am. I'm still doing the same thing I was doing.
Yeah, you're around here. Look at that.
Boxing
still
for fitness.
Personal training, a lot of these people, yeah.
So I also I want to talk about is that new red yellow Corvette, man. And that's it. Boy, that's your thing.
Old school
I'd like to see you posted up with that with a big stogie in your mouth. It's a convertible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was mentioning that. My old man.
I'm going to take the old man out.
Now listen, that's what he wants to do. Now my dad this is a good funny story too. So my dad comes to every fight. All right, with the man in black, Scotty J. Dad comes to every fight, and my dad would come to every fight, and he'd have a girl with him. He'd come.
And every fight was a different girl back then.
I know, and so this is Joe. So like the fifth fight in a row, my dad's sitting VIP at a table, and it's funny because I actually have the picture. So he's sitting VIP at a table, and so he's got it. It's like the third event with a different girl, and Joe's walking around making his rounds, like he does because he's the promoter. He's got to come rub elbows with all the VIPs, and my dad's sitting at the table, and Joe goes, "Hey, Scotty, you're here at the fights, but you got a different girl with you every time." And my dad giggles, and that was okay and everything, but the girl was sitting right next to my dad, so she kind of chuckled too. And this was it. But these are the good old days, man.
Were good days,
we had some good times,
a lot of fun, a lot of memories.
So many people. Days. I mean, there's Brandon. Brandon, he used to come and sit ringside. Now he's doing his own promotions. I mean, there were so many people. We used to have big parties we used to have big. Little meetups with XBTV. There's
what about Jay?
Jay Adams.
Jay Adams.
Jay's doing good. He's still rocking it.
we're at the Sundome run one time when we went to the Sundome first time. All right, double the crowd at a la carte. It's at the Sundome. I think we had Hulk Hogan there, everybody there, Eric Bishop. And Jay's back there. I go back on stage right before we come out. He used to open and come out on the stage and would open like that. And I see him and he's jumping around throwing punches and shit, right? I go, Jay, what the fuck you doing? You're not a fighter. He goes, dude, I'm so nervous. I got to get these nerves. I got to get the jitters out of me.
Yeah, Jay's Emmy Award winning. He's a CEO of his own thing. He's doing good, man. I've actually called him some couple times, because I got into the industry where he's at now, and I've got a couple pointers from him, and he supports me 100%. And I love Jay. He's one of my heroes too. And I remember that night.
Yeah,
I remember that night that he was doing that. But it's so much fun, and it's great to think about all these fun times that we used to have, because it's hard, you don't want to forget them. The RFC was...
Every time me and Ralph see each other, Riveters, he always brings up another story. Hey, Joe, remember this one? Or he'll come up, bring somebody up to me that I don't remember. Joe, remember this? It's one story after another.
I got a question for you. After 12 years in that RFC, you dealt with a lot of guys. You had everyone from... I can't even... Jim Hammertree, TJ Cook, Tommy Sauer, I can name them. Chris Baton, these guys with us. Who do you think was the face or the heart fighter of the RFC? You can't say me.
That was tough. Would probably say Edson. Yosmani was big that time too. The middleweight champ Edson fought his heart out for us. It wasn't just anybody. Probably Edson a little more out there, but it was so many good guys, man, that were with us. Many good guys that were men and gentlemen. I didn't even sign contracts with these guys to the very end. You had to have it signed for the commission. But it was on a handshake
or just the state or the state's paperwork.
We had to do that, but the last minute, I never had to do that with nobody. They wouldn't come back and tell me, ask for more, try to change shit. They were gentlemen, man. Tough as hell, but gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I agree with you. I think Edson was a franchise fighter. He put not only to him, but Nana, Jay Lee, Pat. I know they're not their brothers and sisters, but they're their...
Nana, as beautiful she was, Nana. And soft-spoken, sweet. All the fighters went crazy for her. Dude, she would throw down.
And she sparred with us.
She never worried about it. She didn't get nervous like a lot of the guys did. She wasn't nervous. I go, come on, Nana, you got to be a little nervous. No, Joe, I don't understand it. She's laughing, walking around, talking to everybody.
Yeah, no, Nana, she was tough. She sparred with us. Like, she sparred with the boys. She didn't have girls to spar with. Yep. Her career was short. She had she was 3-1, but she went in smart. She's a teacher now, I believe. She's a school teacher or something like that. But you can see Nana she was a tough girl, man. She had some good fights, and then
I remember Bertle's wife got mad at me and him. We matched her. I forget the girl's name, a Brazilian girl from Brazil. She came over here. She was jacked, big Muay Thai background, jacked, had abs, shoulders. When the mom seen the wife, she stopped talking to me and Bertle. She got mad at us. She wouldn't look at us. Seriously, true story. She was mad at us that we matched her daughter like that.
And you know what? She could teach one hell of a boxing for fitness class too. Yeah. All of them could.
Yeah.
What about, remember the one trainer, Renata? Renata was another. Every one of those trainers.
That was a before and after. She lost 200 pounds.
Yep.
That was a true before and after.
Van, all those guys.
Alberto shit wasn't no bullshit. They were true before and after that. They worked it off. They didn't take no shots, no pills. They worked it off.
And he had a meal plan for him they had to stick by.
Yeah.
And then every week he would weigh them in and check them.
Yeah.
And it was like, if anyone was to do that kind of body for fitness challenge outside of Tiger's World, you wouldn't be able to work it. Yeah. But when Berto was doing it, he did it.
It was the best transformation classes in Florida.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was fun, man. I had a blast at Tiger's World. I think that was some of my four years of my life that I'll never want to ever ask back. We had a blast.
Me trying to break up you and Anthony sometimes, and
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, I gotta be honest. I look back at that now, and I was an asshole. I was a dumb kid that was stupid. I should have been listening to the wise old, what I call him, Fidel, wise Fidel. I still call him Fidel to this day, and he was wise. To this day, the way I run my company right now, Tampa Productions, is because I run it the same way Anthony taught me how to run Tigers.
You matured, bro. You learned a lot. Look at you. You never got in trouble again. No. You did good. I mean, people with titles here in Tampa or around you, they hire you. You did good, man.
Yeah, no, it was my only thing. You know, like I have, obviously there's no secret. My criminal record is ugly. From when I was a kid, we all make mistakes. But fortunately, I had a drive and I had a good support team. You gave me a chance.
I always trusted you. You never ripped us off with money. You were around cash and money all the time. Never. My wallet would be there. We would leave thousands around. You never touched it.
No, never, because I knew that I got mine.
You got $5 and you would tell me, hey man, I owe you $5.
Yep.
I will give you that. Never.
I
never worried about that way.
Still to this day, that's how I am. Because but you know, I have no debt. I'm 44 years old. I have no debt. I have no credit card. I have no mortgage.
You're doing what you love,
I have nothing. This has been a good show. I've had a blast with you, man. I think it's great. I got a bunch of questions from the chats, but the main question is, are we ever going to see the RFC again? Listen, folks, I'm going to answer that for you, for Joe, because it was a lot of work. I can tell you that. The RFC we would start 4 months before the event, and the card would change 6 times before then in the end. Remember that? I mean, it would change 6 times.
A lot of work. Big boy, we went through the recession back then. It was a lot. It was tough.
It was hard. But I think it would be, if the RFC ever did come back, it would be bad because it would ruin everybody else's promotion, because everybody would come. The RFC would take over. But, man, listen, Joe, I really appreciate you coming out tonight. I really appreciate you being a part of my life. I appreciate you taking a chance with me and trusting me. And, man, if there's anything you want to say before we go, man, it's your turn.
I want to say I'm proud of you. Keep it up. It makes me feel good seeing you do good like this. Really does, man. Keep it up. You got a good thing here.
Well, folks, you got it. We had our man, the man in charge, the big boss man, Joe Valdez, on today. This was it, man. This was an awesome episode for me. Probably in all the podcasts and interviews I've done, this is probably the most memorable podcast I've ever done. You know, it's not a secret that we all make bad decisions in our lives, and we learn from them. But sometimes people look at you differently. Sometimes people judge you just off of what they don't know. And when someone gets to know you and you get connected to someone, it gives you motivation. And I can tell you right now that Joe Valdez, Jason Fryer, Jussil Berto, Anthony Gonzalez Jr., Ralph Garcia, Chris Hickman, Rob Kahn, all those men, they looked past things that were bad and they gave me that chance. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think that I would have made it. And so I want everyone to know out there that even if you've had a struggle, even if you've got bad times, there's always some hope out there. Don't put your head down. Make goals. Set some goals and make some, plateaus you've got to step over. But the most important thing is to surround yourself with successful people. And the last thing I'm going to tell you that Joe taught me, the first thing Joe taught me when I started working for him and fighting, is never take anything for free. So if somebody tries to give you something for free, you give them something back. And that's what Joe taught me. But it's Big Boy on the Big Boy Live podcast. Listen, I want to thank my sponsors, Dr. Doug. I want to thank Knuckle Daddy. We got World Class Fight League this weekend. That's going to be going on. I'm setting up the cage at 9 o'clock tomorrow. We got weigh-ins at 3 at Riveters. Ralph Garcia, I think we got like 30 fights on the card for that one. So that's going to be huge. It's gonna be big, man. We got a big weekend coming. Big Boy with the Big Boy Live podcast. Yo, I hope you guys like Joe, man. He's one of my best buddies in the whole world, and I can tell you what, he has helped so many people change their lives. We're out.
That's good, brother. You're good. I've always said that about you.